What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back at you today with more Danmachi. Now, today, we're going to be talking about, obviously, Boss 1-1. Yes, I know 1-2 is open. Sometimes it takes me a couple days to build these teams, and honestly, I'll be real, I'm massively, and I do mean massively, overthought this team. This team actually turned out to be a lot easier to work with than I'd ever anticipated. So, let's go through the team build here and really talk about this. Now, I know initially you guys are going to look at the team and go, what are you doing? You've got all these maximum broken units on your team. Well, I'm going to be honest. The only reason I do is because my light team is absolutely off the chain. My light team is a team that I've been working on for, over a year now, and they're really good. So to find a bunch of units that fit this build that aren't really all that great was a bit of a tall order for me. But I think I've got it here. So I know that Line, who's on the front, is going to be, she's maximum broken, and she's a good example of units I probably shouldn't be using on this. That said, she's designed to be swapped out after turn 1. If you know basically how these team builds go, you know that I'm using the revolving amulet on her and the whole revolving amulet on her, enunciation brain. And that basically means that after turn 1, she's gone. Now, I know a lot of you new players don't have revolving amulets. I know it takes a while to build those in the game. But let me just throw this out there for you. Before the revolving amulet existed, we used to manually sack these units. And by that, I mean basically we would take all the armor off of them, have them at like level 60 or something, just long enough to survive one turn, and then croak and then move on. If you guys have ever seen how we sack Wine in the game after she does her SA, same basic idea. We've got her just strong enough to get turn 4, and then she croaks, and then we move on. That's usually a record buster tactic. So, in the case of Line, who's on the front, and the case of Philvis, who's right here, both those units are very, very, very high level, but if I'm honest, they can be level 60 for all it really matters. So getting swapped out, it really doesn't make much of a difference, okay? Now, Artie, on the other hand, the only reason I threw Artie on here, well, there's two reasons. Three real reasons, okay? Number one, she is up for grabs right now, and I do want to emphasize, like, if you do not have her, it might be a good time to at least get one, and I do believe at level 60 she'd be just fine in this event, mostly because, reason number 2 that I'm going to use her, she has a big defense buff, physical resist and magic resist plus 30%, and she does an HP regen, and on that turn, she does a basically a KO saving move. Basically, she's got a death saving throw right here. If you get a KO hit, and your HP was above 10%, you will survive that hit. So you can actually, like, rebuff that. Usually you don't need to in these events. We're going to basically build your defenses strong enough that you don't need to, but it's going to be there in case you need it. It's a very high MP cost, so hopefully if you have her low level, you don't need to use it. But let me get to the rest of the team build before we get there. But also, the other thing she does that's really good is she is going to do, with her passive skills, go down here, when countering, instead of attacking regularly, low heals ally prioritizes the ally with lowest percentage HP. So, she is a counter healer, meaning when every time she counters, she's going to do a heal on your team. And remember, the Line that we have on here buffs counters. So, if you in your team build you don't have somebody that buffs counters, you might want to consider throwing in an assist on Artie that buffs counters, because that's going to help her out immensely. Now, she's a physical unit, and she's a water unit, so she's not really going to be... She's not, like, doing damage on this team, at least not by design. She'll do a little bit, but the main DPS we'll get to here in a moment. But first, before I do that, the other maximum broken unit on this team, frankly, is the first unit you should maximum break in the game, and that is the OG Harahime. She is going to do a big defensive debuff, or I guess offensive debuff on your opponent. So she's very defensive in that regard. She does a big heal. She does do a bunch of counter rate and penetration rate buffing, so you're good to go there. Basically, she's going to do everything you need to do. OG Harahime is absolutely, still to this day, one of, if not the best unit in the game. So much so, she is so broken and like so integral to your runs. If you beat level 40, Bell Story level 40, on normal mode, they automatically give you a copy of her. And I do believe at level, maybe she needs +1 or something like that to survive this, because she's a little on the squishy side. But OG Haruhime is an absolute must for this team. So if you're really breaking this down, we have really, out of the 5 units, 3 right now that are all in a support standard. And that's really because the main DPSs that I'm going to use are not very good DPSs. So you've got Line for basically everything she does, mostly the SA gauge charge and the counter buffing. If you don't know why that's important, it's just going to allow these 2 right here, our DPSs, to get basically more counters, which does more damage, and faster SA charging, which is going to do more damage. So then we've got Artie, who's a healer, a defensive unit, all around just fantastic. Once again, if you don't have her, it would be worth trying to get her from the banners, because I don't feel like she's going to get a replacement. I feel like she's kind of, for these, you're going to see Haruhime and Artie and Line on these teams almost consistently. It's going to be rare that you don't see these units on a build, okay? Just throwing that out there for all these boss builds, those 3 units are mandatory, almost. There might be a few exceptions, but we'll get to those when we get to those. So, if you don't have those 3 units, go beat Bell level 40. We will be doing a live stream tonight. If you need a friend code, hit me up on the live stream. Live stream should start around 10 p.m. Eastern time. I could drop my friend code. I've got a unit in there you can use as a support unit, and it'll help you out. So don't miss the live stream for that. Now, let's get into the DPS, but before we do that, let's talk assists. Because almost all of my assists, with one exception, are max limit broken. And that's only because I just don't have these assists at a low level, because these are assists that I use on my main team. In fact, if I was really using a team, I'd use someone more like this. This team is probably what I'd use instead, and this team absolutely will crush it and laugh at it. But I wanted to show you 2 units at level 60, one that doesn't even have hero ascension and is arguably extremely old, to kind of show you might not actually need really like crazy units to beat this one. This one's actually fairly simple. But let me get to it. Let's go ahead and Fiesta Hestia as we often call her on stream. Strength and magic minus 20%. Allies counter rate plus 10%. So another counter buff, and she's giving us a decent debuff. Now, she'll be fine at level 60. At level 60, she'll do 15% debuffing. She's not going to be great in the stats department at that rate, but no assist really is. So when I often tell you guys to, when you're building a team, that assists make all the difference in the world, assists make all the difference in the world. So the higher level your assists, the better you're going to do. Unfortunately, I just don't have any assists I can throw on this team that are at level 60 or whatever. You just got to take my word for it. Now, secondly, I am using Erebus. Now, Erebus, the reason we're using him is because this is a light event. You do want to use a light team. Doesn't matter whether it's strength or magic. You can use either one. Okay? Erebus is a light resistance down 20%, and at level 60, he'd be 15%. Strength and magic plus 20%, and once again, at level 60, he'd be 50%, or 15%. 50% would be amazing. 15%. So, the main reason I have him on Artie is because he doesn't really have a really good magic stat or strength stat. He's kind of like middle of the road. Strength's a little bit better than magic, but, you know, whatever. Artie is more of a physical unit, so I threw him on there. Plus, like I said, the light debuffing is going to be absolutely integral. Okay? Now we get into the real dogs. Seer. Magic plus 20%. That means everybody in the team is 20% magic. Okay? Light and wind damage plus 15%. Now, she's really good. She's going to be really good for this team, and she's absolutely perfect for the magic team. Case in point, I'm still using her over on this team. She's wild. Okay? I would tie her, because she has a really stellar magic stat. I would tie her to a magic unit. Now, there are physical units you can use, case in point, Erebus. But she's really good. She's got a 7-12 magic stat. After a few of the upgrades I've got on her CP levels, still she should be in the high 600s for most people. Okay? And obviously we're tying her to Origami. I remember because she's from Data Live. I had to tie her to Origami because Origami is a magic unit. And Origami is a single target. We'll talk about her in just a second because I think she's an interesting situation. Okay? Now, Demeter. Colonel Demeter here, critical rate and magic resist down 20%. That magic resist down 20% is going to be really important because that's going to allow us to do so much more damage with our magic units. Remember I said it's a mostly magic team. We want to debuff magic and get out as much damage as possible. Obviously, if you're using a physical team, you want somebody here who debuffs physical. Ares can do that really well. Just build your team accordingly and you'll be fine. Magic or strength, it doesn't really matter. I want to more or less show you the tactics and the basics so that you can go in here with the units you have with a fair amount of success, okay? Now, I'm using this Lily over here. She has a really good magic stat, so if you wanted to put her on your main team, you could. In fact, I probably could swap her out, and maybe I should, but I'm not going to at the moment. If I wasn't a swapper, I'll be honest, I would swap her onto the new Althea, only because that new Althea has Hero Ascension. You'll notice that my Origami doesn't have Hero Ascension, and that's just because of how old she is. In fact, I could, and that's going to be a main topic of discussion here, I could unlock her Hero Ascension, but to me, she's not worth the Hero Lights. So she's like our lowest, like, remember, like, the old adage, like, the weakest, yeah, a chain is as strong as the weakest link. She's the weakest link in this chain. She goes down, the team goes down. So, she's a big gamble. But I'm going to show you right now, she can survive this. With relative ease, in fact. Now, if I was going to swap Lily onto anybody, I would swap her onto, you know what, I'll just do it now. Just for the sake of silliness. Why not? Let's see how this goes, okay? And the main reason I do that is because she is extremely low level. If I put her on Origami would then be at a major disadvantage, even more than she already is. But I think this is a survivable and good enough tactic because Hero Ascension does add a good amount of stat. But to talk about what she does here. Now, she is a guard rate down 20%. I think that goes up to 25 when she's maxed. And damage received attack single target plus 15%. That I believe goes up to 20%. And I actually, normally in place of her, I generally would use the Osvi assist. But I haven't really needed to be honest here. And allies, 20 MP regen per turn. So, that MP regen is going to be really, really, really important. Let me emphasize this very, very strongly. When you're using units that are at level 60, like these two are, you need to have some MP regen. You just have to. There's no way around it. It's really important. So, hopefully this team makes a lot of sense. On the end here, I have Finn. Now, Finn is another unit you can grab right now. He's available, and I would say if you don't have him, definitely get him. Because what Finn does, he's an assist version of what Line does on the front of the team. You will notice, like, every team I build. It is rare, extremely rare. Literally 99.9% of the time, I would say, if I had to guess it, Finn's going to be on a team. I don't think there's been much of an opportunity to build a team without Finn in a very, very, very long time. 33% SA gauge charge, strength, magic, agility, endurance, and dex all 10%. He's a beast. He's such a good unit. If you do not have him, make sure you get him before the anniversary rerun banners go away. I hate to say that, but I think it's going to be better for your teams in the long run to have both Artie and Finn. You will notice that those two are going to be on just about every team, if not every single team we build. The only reason I put Finn on the back here is because I want to say after turn 14 or 15, having him on the back actually produces more SA than having him on the front. So if you're SA rushing, you would have him like tied to Line. But since we're going for the long game here, since we've got level 60 units, we're going to put him on the back. He's going to do a little bit better here. All right. Now, let's get into our DPSs, and I'm going to start with Althea. Althea? This is the new one. The brand new one that just dropped. Notice mine is level 60. He's got no bonds in her, and that truly sucks. I gave her 3-star Hero Ascension, and the reason I did is because her stats improve drastically, as you'll see in a moment. Okay? Now, she is an AoE unit, but she's going to be really, really good for this because she does light attack damage plus 100%. So we need to keep that in play. Okay? We need to keep that in play. 3 actions. Mid, light, and magic attack. Now, remember, that's a mid-light magic attack, not a low like it has been before. Mid. And allies counter rate and guard rate, there's another counter rate buff right there, guys, plus 40%. Now, it is worth noting that on the adventure side and on the assist side, only one counter rate buff is going to work, and because she's going to have the highest buff of anybody, hers is going to be the main one. So you actually don't really, if you have her on your team, don't really need to worry about buffing Artie's counter rate beyond that. She's going to do the job. But if you don't have her for whatever reason, you didn't hit the recent banner, that's fine. You'll be okay. You'll just got to figure out some way to buff that stat. All right? Skill 2. Highlight magic attack, foes plural highlight magic attack with temporary magic boost, magic resist down 35%, and allies magic 40%. Now it is worth noting here. This is a big heavy notion here. The Origami that I have in here doesn't actually have a magic boost, so she's going to boost Origami's magic. So that's really good. Because I am using a light magic team, I do need to be a little cognizant of that. Plus, that magic resist is really good. I believe 35% is still the highest magic resistance we have short of an SA. So it's very, very good. Now, the only downside to this, she is an AoE unit, and our foe is a single target. So while these are good attacks, our main attack is going to be this one right here. Super light magic attack with temporary great magic boost. This attack is going to be our main attack force. We are going to basically be just going hard with skill 3 over really much of anything else. We got to keep an eye on the debuffs. We got to keep an eye on our buffs, but this is going to be our main attack. Okay? Now, stat-wise, because I'm going to talk about stats here in a minute, notice her HP is 2300. That's pretty good for a level 60. Magic attack is 1304. That's pretty good. Agility is still way up there, but endurance is 205, and overall defense, after all the CP I've got in her, is 496. That defensive stat is critical here. Critical. All right? So let's go talk about Origami. And first, I'll talk about why I chose her. Okay? Number 1, she's the only light magic unit that's single target that I have is level 60. Simply put. But this works out to your benefit because she's a very old unit. A very old unit. And I don't think anybody's seriously used her on a team in well over a year. I mean, well over a year. She is just not that great anymore. And I'll explain why. Okay? So, skill 1 is a foe highlight magic attack with temporary magic boost and light resist down 35%. Remember, we already have a light resist down 40%, but that being her best single target attack, that's the attack we're going to use most of the time. Skill 2, which is the one we're going to come out of the gate with, is a foe mid-light magic attack with self magic plus 80% for 4 turns. Okay? Now, she does have an AoE skill here, but we're never going to use it. It's just utterly pointless. So basically in our attack stat, attack stack, we're going to go skill 2 and then just spam skill 1. Just go crazy on skill 1. And notice skill 1 isn't really all that MP heavy, so having the 20 MP regen per turn is going to be really kind of nice. Her SA, and just like the other SA, is going to leave a little bit to be desired. Alfia's SA is an AoE, hers is a single target. There's no percentage boost, there's nothing like that, so don't expect crazy damage. Now, here's where we get a little weird. Stats. Actually, your HP is better than I expected. 2020 is a pretty good HP stat for someone who doesn't have any hero ascension. Magic attack is under 1,000 and defense is 434, which actually could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse, honestly. But let's compare the stats if she did have 3-star hero ascension. Okay? Go to album. If we go down here to, let's just filter this down to her alone. Where are our crossover units? There she is. All right. So we've got her at level 60 here. This is basically where we have her, and everything else you see on top of what we have is just my CP levels, okay? So our HP base here is 1570. Notice it's about 500 lower than what we had because I do have her. I have invested quite a bit in her in CP levels, okay? Her magic attack is 600, and this is literally like everything you see that she had before. This is just like the CP levels on top of that. So it should tell you, like, really you want to invest in CP in your units if you haven't already. Just getting her, I think she's level 24 on my teams. She's not really crazy, but it gives her a really good stat boost. Now, level 60, no hero ascension, this is where she's at. Let's put a little hero ascension in her. And notice her HP jumped up pretty well, massively in fact. Her magic attack jumped up a decent amount, not crazy, and her defense jumped up too. So the HP is the big one, though. What was her HP before? Yeah, she got 500 HP, almost 500 HP, pretty close. 400 and something HP for jumping up basically to 3-star hero ascension. Now, the only reason I haven't done that on my team is because I would have to spend 2 hero lights, and I don't want to spend those hero lights. I really do not want to spend those hero lights. So, let's go back in here. Let's go into this fight. Hopefully you've seen the team now. Now, as far as equipment goes, literally I'm choosing everybody's best weapon. I will go ahead and admit I do not believe her weapon. In fact, no, she's not even using her weapon. She's using some, like, glorious sword thing that's going to give her extra HP. That's good for me. That probably is why her HP stat is so high. In fact, that is why her HP stat is so high, because that gives her 300 HP. So that explains a little bit why her HP stat is higher than we expected. So you could really take like 300 HP off of that. Okay. Defense also is probably coming from her equipment. And that is, of course, the breastplate that we threw on her. You do not need anything special. The breastplate is hero ascended. But the heavier the breastplate you could put on your level 60 units, or breastplate, or whatever, basically anything you put on them is going to work. If you have, like, don't have breastplates, you have, like, paladin armor or whatever, you're fine. Just use whatever the best defensive armament you have possible on these units, because you really are more defensively minded at this point. Now, I don't know what happened to her weapon. I don't know why her weapon's not there. I could change it, but having a weapon like the glorious sword that's going to give her HP actually is probably a pretty good strategy right now, because at level 60 she's not going to produce the kind of damage that we want to see anyway. So let's go ahead and continue like that. Now Althea should have, yep, she's got her weapon. Her weapon, it has a little bit of ascension in it, but it's really not the end of the world. So really, the damage you're going to see out of here is probably just a hair higher than the damage you would be able to produce. But, you know, once again, it is worthwhile making sure you have the weapons for these guys, and making sure, guys and girls, and making sure that you are doing 7th zone every week so that you can ascend these weapons, because it's going to be really, really, really important. All right. That's 20 minutes solid of team building. Hopefully you understand the strategies and what we're going to do here. Let's go ahead and jump into the fight and basically get this over with. Now, I'm going to come out of the gate, and the one real sad thing is here, I wish we had skill flow. It would make my life so much easier here, but that's fine. We're going to keep an eye on all of our stats. We're going to keep icons on so we can keep an eye. Notice all the icons under him. If you're not aware, that's going to show you all your stats, and I'll show you what that is here in a minute. And all the icons on my units down here, while it does look cluttered, it lets you know what is going on. And I'll show you why in here in a few minutes why that's really super important. We're going to get 33% of Seigage charge. We're going to go ahead and do her big defensive buff. We need that defensive buff right out of the gate. You will notice that Haruhime is floating on the back. That's because I don't need her debuff yet. I basically need her debuff before his first SA, which is going to be on turn 4. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and do skill 2 and skill 1 with her, and that basically starts our big... basically, that starts our offensive stacks. So, there we go. And we got a good amount of heal there out of Artie. You notice that we got some heal there. So, that being that, Artie is now going to basically go and just do her 3rd skill. We don't need anything else. We don't need her 2nd skill at all. We're just going to... In fact, we could use her 2nd skill for the healing, but I don't need it yet. So I'm going to continue doing her 3rd skill. If we do need some healing, we can bring that in. But right now, I don't think we need it yet, and I don't think we'll need it maybe until after he SAs. We'll see. Now, with her, I'm going to bring her in and just do... What? Did I really have her on here for the magic resist? We don't need her for the magic resist. So in reality, I probably should have brought somebody in that would buff single target attack damage. That is a failure on my part. I really should have outfit this team with someone that does single attack. So just note you would get a little bit more single attack damage out. I don't know why she's... Yeah, it doesn't make sense why she's here. I don't... What was I thinking? Anyway, don't use... Like, if you're going to build this out, this is the mistake on my part. Definitely use someone here that buffs single target damage, or... In this case, I think I build her in like an earlier build. There's physical magic resist here down 30%. And notice that's all going to get overwritten. So that's like an easy pitfall, an easy mistake to make. So if I was going to redo this, and I don't think it's going to be worthwhile. You'll already see like how well we're going to do here. You could put somebody here that's either defensive or somebody that buffs single target damage or something like that. That would be a better build. I think she's a layover from an old team. Maybe I just forgot to replace her. I don't recollect. But either way, there's a possibility here we could get more damage out. Just understand, like, my loss is kind of going to be your gain, okay? And then we're going to do skill 1 with her. Like I said, we're basically going to spam that. And then skill 2 to get that magic resist we just talked about. And the 40% magic buff. So, let's go. And really, turns 1 through 4 are kind of our hardest turns. After that, we should pretty much be good to go. Now, you will notice we're taking a good bit of damage, and that is really by design. You want to take a little bit of damage. You don't want to get, like, beaten up, but you definitely do want to take some, because if he's hitting you for zeros, you're not going to get counters. Okay? Just be aware of that. Now, when Haruhime comes in, I'm going to go ahead and do her Yosuga on this turn, and that's basically going to buff everybody, or let's say rebuff everybody's skills. So, if we go down here to Origami, you'll notice all these icons over here off to the side, and then if I close this down, you'll notice all those icons are down there. Learn these icons, know them well. They'll help you decide what skills are on her, but we'll go ahead and look at it here. So she's got critical rate up, penetration rate up, counter rate up, SA gauge charge up, magic resistance up, physical resistance up, avoid KO, guard rate, and magic 80%. She doesn't have light attack damage though, but that's alright. I thought she got light attack damage, but irrelevant. She's going to be fine. Realistically, there's basically 2 ways your offensive skills could be stacked, and that's because I thought she did light damage 80, and she does magic, and it's a mistake on my part once again. But I don't have anybody else I could throw on this team that would buff magic that wouldn't be completely broken. Realistically, if you wanted to do this right, on my other team, you will notice that there's the light Haruhime. Her SA buffs, I believe, 80% light damage, so she'd be a great person to throw on this team. But because she's so maxed out, I really don't want to use her on this team. I almost feel like that would be cheating. So, on my main team, yeah, she's definitely there, but on this team, nah, not so much. Plus, she's an AoE, she's a single target unit that's completely maxed on my team. Once again, it wouldn't be a great show. So, we're going to go ahead and do this here. Now, once again, we got light resistance coming out here. I wish she had some light attack damage. She doesn't. She's got magic. But if we go over here to Althea, you'll notice that Althea has, if we go down here to the bottom, so light attribute damage 100% and magic up 40%. Now, you will notice that her light attribute damage is getting ready to expire. Also notice right below the light attribute damage, the additional actions resonance, 2 turns left. 2 turns left. That literally means that next turn, we're going to have to buff that. That's okay, though. No big deal. Let's go ahead and do our attack. Alright. So we're not taking huge damage here. We are getting ready to be SA'd. So next turn, I do want to do Haruhime's defensive, or offensive, I guess, debuff. Oh, no. He's going to do it now. Well, should have done it that turn. I thought he did it on turn 4. I had my turns all backwards. Oh, actually, you know what? We survived that a lot better than I expected. So, you know, I'm going to actually amend my build now. I'm actually going to completely avoid doing Haruhime's defensive buff. So, realistically, you could have done Haruhime's defensive buff there if you needed it, but I'm going to be honest, if you built your team anywhere near what I have, you don't need it. Like, they laughed at it. Now, realistically, I probably should have done Haruhime's defensive buff on turn 3, and then everyone would have survived that, like, with absolute ease, because remember, we have that defensive, we've got the defensive buff from Artie, the offensive debuff from Haruhime, we've got an offensive debuff on our assist side, so we've basically had 3 layers of protection, so we're good to go there. So I'm just going to do Yosuga again. We're basically going to spam that now. Now, you will see that we have an SA. I'm going to save this for a triple, and I'm going to save it for a triple for one very good reason. But for now, let's soldier on. Okay? I do need to, like I said, rebuff that because the secondary attack did run out. Anytime those secondary attacks are running out, you want to make sure they're good to go. But like I said, with RD and Origami, we're basically just going to spam their best attacks because they're so old they don't have secondary attacks. Well, Artie's not that old, but she didn't get it last year. Not every unit got it when she dropped last year. So we're going to build up to a triple SA. Let's go. So we've got Yosuga basically going. Now Yosuga, if you're not familiar, that does a status buff and status debuff replication. That's really good. It's going to keep everything in play. I'm going to go back to doing radiation. That's going to be the big attack with her. And yeah, pretty much everyone else is just going to continue doing what they do. Let's basically spam this until we get a triple SA. Nothing's really going to change. Basically, the only thing we got to do is every 4 turns. So on like turn 8, we basically just have to rebuff. See, now here's an interesting situation. See, I've got a little bit of health deficiency here. Let's use Energize, basically reheal that. So we'll get this heal here, because we don't actually have our HP regen anymore, but we didn't need that past Haruhime dropping in. So it's an interesting situation. Not what I expected to come across, but that's all right. Probably because it's the first time I actually haven't done Haruhime's debuff. So, yeah, that'd be a thing. Now, I'm beginning to wonder, I think he's going to do another SA at the end of turn 7. So, because maybe I have my turn order. Nope, he's going to do it every 3rd turn. That's weird. I thought first run through, I notated that he did it every 4th turn, but... Huh. Well, I stand corrected on that. I'll try to make better notes next time. Boom. But notice we're basically tanking it with ease. We're going to go ahead and do Shiko because we need to rebuff Haruhime's SA. Or you can't see it there because of the little icon. I probably should adjust that a little bit. But her MP is running out. Her MP is pretty low, so I'm going to go ahead and do Shika this turn. To rebuff that, I'm going to go ahead and do basically the 3rd skill with everyone, or basically everyone's main attack skill this turn. And let's see, Radiation, we should be down to 2 turns left. Where is it? Did it run out? I thought it was... Oh, Resonance. Resonance, 1 turn left. So we need to go ahead and rebuff Resonance. There we go. I thought it'd be 2 turns, but it's 1 turn. Whatever. Here we go. And remember, that basically keeps the new Althea in doing double attacks, which is just going to wear our opponent down a little bit more. Now, you'll notice that we haven't been doing crazy damage up to this point, and that's about to change massively. And I do mean massively, because when I do Haruhime's SA here, everybody's going to get 100% physical, 100% magic, and then with the massive, and I do mean massive, light attack damage that Althea has, we're going to be just killing it. So let's do a triple SA with all of our DPSs. Basically, the only one not doing SA is Artie, and we're going to be good to go. Because we don't really need Artie's SA. Number 1, she's not really an attacker. She's really here more as in a support role. Number 2, because remember, she can heal on top of everything else. I know we're just doing base attacks with her, but she can heal on top of everything else. So here we go. Boom. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's see what kind of damage she does. 305. Nice. Very nice. I wasn't honestly expecting that much from her, to be honest, because at level 60, you don't really honestly expect too much. Now, Althea might hit for 500,000 here, which would be beautiful. She is an AoE, though, so maybe she'll hit for about the same. I don't know. We got to see. Because this being an AoE skill, remember, it's not going to hit as hard as a single target. But she is Hero Ascendant. She's got 100% on all stats. Oh, I was not anticipating that. Oh my goodness. So let's go ahead and real quick, because I haven't talked about it yet, the stats on our opponent here. So remember, with Haruhime's SA, she gives everybody 100% strength and 100% magic, as well as a major heal. So now, with Althea, she's got 100% strength, 100% magic. Really, magic's the only one that matters. And 100% light attribute damage. So she's just hitting like an absolute truck at this point. And at this juncture, I would say that every SA we get, probably, well, let's do double SAs with Althea and with Althea and Origami. Let's see. Althea's got 3 turns left on Resonance, so we'll need to do rebuff that in 2 turns. We're going to go ahead and do those attacks and Yosuga there, and let's just go for the double SA. Oh, I didn't talk about the dragon stats. I meant to talk about that. All right. So let's go ahead and pull up his stats here, because we forgot to do that at the beginning of the match, but we've been doing some serious debuffing and everything. So you'll notice that magic resistance, I'm not going to worry about strength, physical resistance, because that's really irrelevant. Magic resistance is down 55%. Light resistance is down 75%. That's pretty close to something you want to see. The lower those two numbers, since I am using a magic team, the better our attacks are going to do. So that is really it. Now also notice that magic resistance, physical resistance, water resistance, all those are dropped down. Critical rate is dropped. Penetration rate is dropped. And light resistance is dropped. Basically, anything that he could be resistant to that our team does has been depleted massively. So let's just keep hammering down. I believe next turn, I could be wrong, I think it's next turn, we're going to have to rebuff Resonance once again with Althea, but it's no big deal. There we go. And we are going to need to do Sheikah here because you can't see it on screen, but we are out of MP. Her MP is very low. Let's check here. Yeah, Resonance is down, so we're going to have to buff that once again. And the whole reason we're doing that is to get the double attacks. The double attacks make a huge difference in the long run. So right now we're at turn 11, and we've already depleted half of his health. So basically, we're just keep going on. The nice part is he doesn't remove any of our buffs or debuffs or anything like that. He's just basically going to start eating attacks and getting murdered, which is our goal. All right, so I believe we should be good on all of our buffs and debuffs. I believe I can do Sheikah one more time. Yeah, we're there. What we're looking for numbers that are approaching. There were some 2s there. I'm looking for something that's down to a 1. Because with Haruhime's buff skill, if anything drops down to like a 1, it's going to deplete at the end of this turn. And I'm going to go back and do Yosuga at the end of this turn for like 3 or 4 more turns so we can buff those back up. So doing Sheikah 2 turns, while that is going to let some of those buffs and debuffs die down, the only things that I'm worried about, because the only ones you saw here were Resonance, which doesn't get buffed, or well, that was there, and Avoid KO, which also doesn't get buffed. Every other buff skill basically is going to get jacked up yet another turn. So I'm going to go and do Sheikah. We're going to go back to doing Radiation, and we're just basically going to, like I said, continue on. And you'll notice that, like, basically at this point, he's not doing any damage. He's just run completely out of steam. Like, I would say turn 3 and turn 7 are your big turns. I think I said 4 and 8 at the beginning, but 3 and 7 are really the big ones you got to worry about. We're going to go back and do Yosuga, because if you'll notice, that critical rate and penetration rate are about to drop off. Now, I don't think he does crit and pen very much, but it doesn't matter. We still don't want to deal with it. All right. So, turn 14, we're going to do another double SA. And remember, that's all because all these units are buffed 33% on both the Adventure and the Assist side. The only one that doesn't have the Adventure side buff is Haruhime, but, you know, that just be a thing. All right, double SA. Let's go. 176. Kind of expected that. Because remember, we only have... It's still 500k. Remember, the big problem with Origami is, number one, she doesn't have any light damage. That is a slight oversight on this team. I probably should have put someone on here that buffs light damage or single target or both. Slight oversight on my team, but once again, you know, there's no turn limit on this, so however many turns it takes you to beat them, there you go. So we go back, doing our main here. Resonance is down to 1 turn, so we're going to rebuff that. And once again, let's just continue on. And the next double SA we get, I believe, should be it, if he even lasts that long. So let's see here. All right. So radiation. We're going to have to do Sheikah on this turn. We'll do that for at least 2 turns, hopefully. We'll double check everything here in a second. I know our buffs are going to be good because our buffs never dropped down to 2 last time. And she's run Yosuga several times over now. So none of the buffs are going to fall off. We're just going to look at the debuffs here. All the debuffs are good. We can run this at least 2 more times if need be, but we're only going to run it once. Let's go. Let's get that second double SA, and let's finish this foe off. So hopefully you kind of understand, if Origami had a light buff, if we'd had single target damage, which is a major oversight on my team, something I should have seen going into this. And I will also say, if... yeah, let's go. Double SA time. Boom. Yeah, so there's a few things I could have built onto this team that would have made this significantly easier. Namely, Origami having some hero ascension. That would have helped out a massive amount. Oof. Okay, I was going to say, those zeros are not good. Those zeros mean no counters, like I said before. So, can we kill him? Nah, of course not. Let's just do our main attacks and kill him. Go! Go, team! This is the worst part, when you're like down to the wire and you're not countering. Counter! There you go. Turn 19. Excellent. I was going to say, my goal was about turn 20. So that's perfect right there. So hopefully you kind of see like basically how you can go into this and how you can do this. I did get someone was asking the other day how to get some hero fauna. I did get a hero fauna drop from this. Now I really, really, really honestly wish we had hero ascension on... Or, yeah, I'm sorry, not hero ascension. Skill flow on this event. I have hero ascension on the ranks of Origami. But, yeah. And I will say, we only got an A clear, but you don't need to get an S clear on this. An A clear is going to get you the rewards. You're going to get through it. That is our goal. Now, if you want an S clear, got to build something like this. We'll probably run this team. I bet this team will wreck it in like 7 turns, maybe even less if I play my cards right. But for now, let me know what you guys thought in the comments section down below. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Catch you guys on the next one. We'll do Boss 1-2 tomorrow.